Hi everybody, this is Fred. Welcome to Personal Time Outdoors. Today I'd like to talk to you about my top 6 budget backpacking items. All the items that I'm going to talk to you about today are items that I purchased myself. This is not any kind of a paid promotion for any of these things, and these are things that I do use myself or have used myself over the last few years. Stick around to the end of the video because I will have a bonus 7th item for you that costs less than $3. The weights that I'm going to list for these items are all weights that I took by putting them on my own personal scale. So what you see listed on the product descriptions online may vary a little bit, but it should be pretty close. Now, several of these items can be purchased on a website called AliExpress. Now, if you're not familiar with AliExpress, it's kind of like a Chinese Amazon. When you order something on AliExpress, in most cases it's going to ship to you direct from China. So you do have to factor in that there's an extra lead time to get the product. It could take 2, 3, sometimes 4 weeks to get it. So keep that in mind if you do consider one of these items that is purchased on AliExpress. It could take you a little while longer to get it. Now, in most cases, you can find the same items on Amazon or sometimes on eBay, and you'll get them a lot quicker, but you will pay a higher price for them. The first item I'd like to talk to you about today is this Naturehike summer sleeping bag. This is not a sleeping bag that you would want to use in cold weather, but I find that it is actually very ideal to use during the summer. I've used this many times on overnight backpacking trips where the overnight temperatures got down to like the mid to upper 60s, and I was perfectly comfortable and perfectly warm with it. The pack weight on this sleeping bag is only 1 pound 7 ounces, so it is pretty lightweight, and it is very compact. What I like about it is it comes with this compression sack that has these straps on it that allows you to really compress this down. So if you really smush this down and tighten these straps, it gets very, very small and it doesn't take up a lot of room in your pack. Now, like I said, I've used this thing quite a bit. You can see that actually some of the lettering is coming off of the stuff sack because it has seen its fair share of use. And really, for a summer bag, I really can't recommend it enough. And again, if you're a beginner backpacker, you're probably going to want to go in the summertime anyway, so this is a great entry-level bag to help get you started. You'll find that this sleeping bag is one of those products that oftentimes gets sold under different brand names. It is currently available on the AliExpress website under the Naturehike brand name for $28, but I also did find it on Amazon under the brand name of Red Camp, and there it was being sold for only $23. Usually the model number is always the same regardless of what brand they're selling it under, and that is LW180. If you do a search under that model number, you'll usually be able to find it regardless of what brand name it's being sold under. Speaking of sleep systems, the next item I'd like to talk to you about today is this Trekology 2.0 pillow. This is one of those inflatable pillows that you just simply inflate by blowing it up. And as you can see, it packs down very, very small. It only weighs 4 ounces, including the little stuff sack that it comes in. When you blow it up, this is what it looks like. And the cool thing about it is it has this strap on the back, which allows you to strap it to your sleeping pad so it doesn't move around on you at night. The pillow that I had before this, it was also an inflatable pillow, but it did not have a strap like this. And I was constantly chasing it around my tent at night when I was sleeping. It would squirt out from underneath the back of my head. With this one here, the strap on it keeps it from moving around and it stays in place very, very well. I'm very happy with the way that it works. It also has these little dots on the back that are supposed to help it keep from slipping, and I'm not sure if how well they work, but the strap in my mind is enough to keep it in place anyway, so whether or not those dots help or not, you be the judge. Now, this thing currently sells for $18 on Amazon, and for that price you really can't beat it, just for the comfort that it gives you and to help you get a really great night's sleep. The way that you inflate it is it has a little valve here. It's one of these push button valves, so if you have it push down one way, it'll let air in but not out. And if you push it the other way, then it'll let air out so that you can deflate it and pack it away. One of my favorite pieces of backpacking gear is this UCO Switch Spork. And this thing is just awesome. In fact, I can't believe that I don't see more people using this thing because it is so versatile. The nice thing about it is that it gives you both a fork, a spoon, and a knife. And the other cool thing about it is that you can clip it together like this to turn it into a long-handled spoon or a long-handled fork, which is great when you're eating dehydrated meals, so you can reach down in the bag without getting your hands all messy. I would much rather have this thing than one of those long-handled titanium spoons, just because you do have the option of collapsing it down like this and it takes up a lot less room in your pack. This thing only weighs 9/10 of an ounce, so less than 1 ounce for this thing. It also comes with this little bungee cord here that you can hook onto it when you have it folded up. And you can use that to hang it up on something if you want to hang it up and dry. This thing only sells for $8 on Amazon, and for that price, this thing is a steal. The next budget item that I'd like to talk to you about today is this folding foam sit pad. This thing is another one of my favorite pieces of gear, and it's so inexpensive. You can get these on AliExpress for between $2 and $3, and believe it or not, that includes the shipping. I've also seen them on eBay and on Amazon, but you will pay a little bit more, but you do get them sooner, so that's the benefit. But on Amazon or eBay, you might pay between $5 and $10 for it. As you can tell, it's a cheap copy of the Thermarest Z seat. It's probably thinner and not as big, but it's still, even this version of it is still, I find it very useful. If you come upon a wet log that you want to sit on or a wet bench, you put this down and you will not get wet. I also use it to kneel on when I'm getting in and out of my tent if the ground's wet, so it'll keep my pants from getting wet. And also, you can put this on your camp chair if you're in colder weather, and it'll add a layer of insulation to keep you warmer. I usually keep this somewhere on the outside of my pack where it's really accessible. That way, if I want to stop and take a break, I can take it off my pack, open it up, and have a great place to sit down. If you've watched any of my trip videos, you've probably seen me wearing this Baur down puffy jacket. This is a very budget-friendly jacket. I got this at Sam's Club for $30. And for that price, it can't be beat. If you've ever looked at the prices of down puffy jackets, you know that they can be sometimes up to $200 or more. So this item is obviously not in the same class as one of those higher-end jackets, but it does still work very, very well. This version of the jacket only weighs 17 ounces. And the cool thing about it is it can pack down inside of its own pocket. So what you do is you just find the pocket that has the zipper on the inside, and you turn the pocket inside out, and you stuff it down inside just like this. I've used this jacket down in temperatures that are in the high 30s, and with a couple layers underneath, I've been perfectly warm with it. It's obviously not something that you would want to use in the wintertime for wintertime backpacking, but for spring or fall, this is actually a very decent coat to use. And for $30, you can't beat the price. Now, the one thing about this jacket is I always wish that it had a hood on it. But you know what? I was at Sam's Club 2 weeks ago, and I discovered that they now have a version of this that has a hood, so I grabbed it. It's the same specs as the other jacket. It is 650 fill down, and it packs into the pocket just like the other one does, but the cool thing is it's actually a little bit lighter. This one only weighs 11 ounces as opposed to the 17 ounces that the older one weighed. And I think that they saved some weight because I noticed that the baffles on this are a little bit wider than on the old one. So I think because there's less stitching on it, they save some weight on the thread. And also the material feels like it might be a little bit thinner, but still plenty durable. And I haven't taken this one camping yet, but we have had some colder weather, so I've taken it out and used it on several walks where it was only like 37, 38 degrees, and I was still perfectly warm with it. So I think just like the old one, this one is also going to work very well. Out of all the items that I'm going to talk to you about today, this aluminum cook pot is probably my favorite. This is actually what's called a grease dispenser or a grease pot. And I bought this at Walmart for $7. I think the current price on it is about $8 at Walmart. And you can also get it on the Amazon website under the brand name Imusa for $11. This thing only weighs 7.1 ounces and it has a 1.5 quart capacity. Now I bought this thing because when I was going backpacking with my wife, I wanted a pot that had enough capacity that I could boil water for 2 people. So if we were preparing 2 dehydrated meals and maybe wanted a little bit of water left over so my wife could have a cup of coffee or we could have some hot chocolate, I could get it all in here and heat it all up at one time. It also comes with this little strainer, which I never use, but I could see that it could be handy. Like if you were boiling pasta or noodles or something like that, maybe you could use that to help strain it out. But like I said, I don't use it, I leave that at home. If you do take this, add another ounce to that weight that I gave you. The other thing I like about it is that it is big enough that I can fit the larger size fuel canister in it, my stove, a lighter, as well as some matches for backup. It all nests inside really nicely. The weight on this thing really is very comparable to some of those more expensive titanium pots that you see, but it's hard to find one that has this kind of capacity made out of titanium. So I think this is a really good option, especially if you're backpacking for 2 people, and for $7 to $10, you can't beat the price on it. The last item I'm going to talk to you about today is this Ozark Trail, aka Walmart brand, Collapsible Cup. This thing is super inexpensive. I think when I bought this, it was like $1.50. I think the current price on it, everything's gone up, is about $2.50. But for that price, this is actually a really handy piece of gear to have. As you can see, this is a copy off of the Sea to Summit collapsing cup. But if you ever look at the Sea to Summit cup, you can tell that that one is much thicker than this one and probably will last longer. In fact, when I bought this, I kind of figured that it wasn't going to last very long, and I thought, that eventually that it would get a hole in it or something like that. But oddly enough, this thing still works, and I've had this thing probably going on 5 years now. This thing only weighs 2.2 ounces. It has a 2-cup capacity, and it also has the little graduation lines inside for both ounces and for milliliters, so that comes in really handy. I don't currently use this any longer for drinking liquids. I didn't like that it was kind of flimsy feeling when I was using it as a cup, so I switched over to a different cup now that's more rigid and has a lid on it as well. But I still use this thing for like a bowl, and it also comes in handy if you're preparing instant oatmeal to hold the oatmeal packets up while you pour the water in. It works very well for that. One thing about it is if you are going to use this to drink liquids out of, wash it out very well when you first get it. I made the mistake of only kind of giving it a quick rinse, and the first time I used it, what I was drinking kind of had a little bit of a rubbery taste to it that it kind of transferred to the liquid. But I found out that after I washed it out better, the next time that went away. So just a heads up on that for you. One of the things that prevents people from getting started in backpacking is they get sticker shock when they take a look at the price of some of the gear. Especially when you first start doing your research, you'll tend to first come across the real high-end gear that costs a lot of money. But I found over the years that there are plenty of budget items out there that will work well enough for you to get started. And what will happen is, as you become more experienced and once you decide that you do like backpacking, you'll eventually upgrade that gear. But at least get started by using budget gear so that you can at least get out there and get the experience. Now, I would recommend for beginners to start in the summer, because a lot of the gear that's budget gear is much more friendly to use in the warmer weather. In any case, do your homework and read reviews. And I hope that you find some of the items that I talked to you about today helpful and something that you would consider. If you have any questions about any of the items, please feel free to leave them in the comments and I will do my best to answer them. And if you found this video helpful, I would really appreciate it if you'd consider subscribing to my channel. Thank you for watching today.